Hi friends, today we are going to talk about leadership. What is leadership? Before I explain leadership, can you think of any leader you know? Look at the great leaders around you or from the past. Can you identify some common attributes among them? Let's take some examples like Narendra Modi from India, Jacinda Ardern from New Zealand, Donald Trump, US President, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook CEO. Are they leaders? What about people from the past? Adolf Hitler from Germany, Gandhi from India, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela. Were they leaders? Or think of your family members, relatives, or people at your workplace. Think about it. Think about those people. Do they inspire you? Do they have values, principles? Do you try to imitate them? Well, I'm going to cover various leadership attributes, styles, and types in this video and my upcoming videos. I'm sure you will be able to find it out after going through these videos. So let's talk leadership and myths about leadership in this video. In simple words, leadership is an art of inspiring people to achieve a common goal. In other words, inspiring people positively to achieve company goals. In today's world, every organization has set certain goals at the organizational level. Lots of good companies make sure that those goals flow down to each individual in the company. This process makes every individual feels valued and a sense of understanding around his or her daily tasks and how they are linked at a broader level to the organization goals. Leaders are a great asset to any organization and they play a part here. They play a vital role in meeting these organizational goals by keeping people, employees motivated and valued. Now, leaders are not found at the workplaces only. Or in other words, leadership is not bound to the organizations. You can find them within your family members, friends, relatives, TV personalities, political figures. As a fact, there is a shortage of true leaders in today's world. Leaders with all the required qualities are difficult to find. Leadership is all about people, actions, and relationships. Let's talk about people here. It's about supporting people, trusting them, giving them confidence, and letting them do their tasks in a comfortable environment. Now, I have seen so many examples where employees were happy with the work they were doing in the company, but not happy with their immediate supervisor. It could be because of micromanagement, not giving the required support, not giving them the required tools or training or environment to do their tasks. This is one of the common reasons to leave a company for another job. As you must have heard, employees leave their managers, not companies. Let's talk about actions. As you say, walk the talk. Leaders do what they say, no false or empty promises. They stick to their words and people following them know it too. There is no place for confusion or doubt in leaders' consistency to follow his or her principles and values. Talk about relationships. Leadership is a relationship and interaction between the leader and the followers. In other words, one cannot lead without the followers. So there exists a relationship in leadership. Leaders develop people. This is a very important point. For example, they develop their communication skills, encourage collaboration, bring people together, developing others' ability to create value. So the followers want to imitate the leader so that they can identify themselves with the leader. In a crux, leaders can make or develop people into leaders. Let's discuss the myths about leadership. The first one is hierarchy. Sometimes people confuse leadership with hierarchy. The hierarchy concept doesn't fit in leadership. It occurs in administration. I have seen people higher in the hierarchy considering themselves as the leaders, though they are just managing or administering the work. In fact, sometimes people at a higher level of the hierarchy have no idea about leadership. It brings us to an important discussion point, that is managers and leaders. Managers set up goals, track them, and make sure goals are met, while the leaders inspire, influence, and make people capable to perform their tasks. They lead by example. The second myth: no one except the boss has the leadership qualities. Leadership qualities can lie anywhere, even at the lowest job level. Leadership learning can happen both ways, which means a direct report can also influence his or her supervisor in various ways. It doesn't have to be a work-related thing. It could be dealing with a particular situation, like how to control your emotions in a meeting, how not to be angry, how to deal in a tough situation, how to behave with the colleagues, and many more. So it is dynamic in nature and can happen implicitly and automatically at any time. So in a mature, cohesive team, team members support and motivate each other. They take on a leadership role as per the situation and requirements. For example, a customer care representative who decides at that very instance of how to deal with the upset customer plays his leadership part in that interaction. Another myth: leaders are born. What do you think? Are leaders born with certain attributes? Well, it's a mix of both, born and acquiring skills. And you will find most people favoring one or the other. There are many studies done on this theory. There are even studies where twins were studied for 40 years. The study says the percentage of attributes by birth is 1/3, say 30%. Now, to acquire leadership skills, people can become leaders through teaching, learning, observing other leaders, so which is 70%. The factors that play the key role to acquire leadership skills are desire to learn, perseverance, and values. Moreover, leadership learning is a lifetime activity. What about physical attributes? What do you think? Do physical attributes help leaders? I always laugh at it. Like a person with a very big stature or a charismatic personality. The physical attributes do play a role in a certain way in performing the job duties, but they are not an attribute of a leader. It's again one of the myths in the industry. On the contrary, one can still use this attribute to his or her advantage, and I have seen people using such attributes to their advantage in various positions. As I'm from IT, there was a manager that I worked with. He was taller than all of his project team members and always used to get angry if things were not going his way. By using these attributes, he always managed to get the work done from the team members. But there was no sense of belonging within the team. No one wanted to be like him. The timelines were being met, but not with the quality. Now, have you noticed? I have used the term manager for him, not leader. That brings us to another myth: extrovert. Do leaders need to be extrovert? For years, it was believed that only extroverts can be leaders. On the contrary, listening to others and then reflecting back are the critical components of sound decision making. Let's touch one more myth here. one leadership style. This is another important area. One cannot apply the same style everywhere. The leaders need to adapt and change their leadership styles depending on team members' behavior. Every team member has a different personality. So the leader has to adapt his or her leadership style. It could be a different industry, a manufacturing industry or an IT industry, and they both work differently. So you need to change your leadership style. Do you remember any movie where the character really inspired you positively? Was that character a leader? You can give it a thought. Okay, let's finish today's discussion here, and I'll leave you to think more on leadership and its attributes. Let me give you a question to answer. What is the key difference between a manager and a leader? Answer in the comment section. I'll shout out the name of the first few people who will get it correct in my next videos. Please feel free to put your comments below for your thoughts, experiences, and questions on leadership. In the next video, I will talk about how leaders behave. What are their behavioral characteristics? Till then, bye.